It's Friday, September 17th, 2021, and it's time for another riveting episode of What's in the Box, or as the case may be, What's in the Bag. I've just been to my local record store. I always try to support your local record store. I always try to buy my vinyl from my local record store, which in my case is 100 Records in Romsey. They need to be supported, and there's nothing quite like buying a record physically in person and getting a thing home and unwrapping it, as I'm about to do. And in the bag today we have the new album from Lindsey Buckingham, imaginatively titled Lindsey Buckingham. And I've been quite excited about this one. I'm a big fan of Lindsey's, one of my very favourite guitarists. Phenomenal guitar player, a wonderful songwriter, and of course formerly of Fleetwood Mac fame. And this record has actually been waiting in the wings for about 3 years. There have been various factors that have conspired to prevent Lindsey from releasing this album. Fleetwood Mac politics, and then the decision to release a best-of compilation first, and then his unfortunate emergency heart operation, which resulted in the thankfully temporary loss of his voice. And then what else was it? So, the pandemic. The pandemic stopped him releasing it. He had started rehearsing for a tour, and in the midst of rehearsals they had to stop because obviously the pandemic prevented them from Lindsey and the band from going out and touring. But finally we had this record released today, and there's a song on here called Blue Lights. That was originally going to be the title track, but for whatever reason it was decided that it should be a self-titled album. So let's open this thing up and see what we've got. Well, I know what we've got, but let's see what we've got inside it. Okay, come on. This album has, as I say, it's been waiting to be released for quite some time. And Lindsey, often with his solo work, unlike his work with Fleetwood Mac, he tends to think more out of the box. However, with this one, he was looking to create something that was a bit more kind of pop orientated, or perhaps a bit more conventional. So it would be interesting to see what he's come up with for this record. I've heard I Don't Mind and On the Wrong Side, which were two of the lead singles, and they are perhaps more conventional than we've come to expect from Lindsey's solo work. So what do we have here? It's quite a simple, plain inside cover. And let's take a look at the record. All the lyrics are on there. Apparently it's not a very long album. I think it actually clocks in at under 40 minutes. So that would tend to support the idea that it's more of a pop-orientated record, because you tend to get shorter songs. There we are. It's not soup bowl shaped, which is a good thing. Okay, let's stick this record on and see what it's like. Okay, well, it's been a couple of days since I made that unbagging video of the new Lindsey Buckingham album, and I've had a chance to listen to it a couple of times, once on vinyl and once on CD. And let's not beat about the bush here. It is superb. It is a brilliant album. Every track is a winner. There's nothing on here that I dislike in any way. I mean, there are almost too many highlights to mention in here. It is a fantastic album. It does sort of stand out among all of Lindsey's solo albums because it is the most straightforward, most conventional sort of album in terms of its songs that Lindsey has recorded as a solo artist. As I've already mentioned, his previous solo albums in general are more progressive than the kind of music that he records or used to record with Fleetwood Mac. He thinks a bit more kind of out of the box. But this album is just full of, you know, straightforward pop rock songs. It is, it's fair to say, probably his least adventurous album musically, but I in no way mean that in a negative way, because these albums are just, these songs are just instantly likeable without fail. I mean, the opening track, Scream, is a great way to open the album. I Don't Mind and On the Wrong Side, which were the first two lead singles, are also, you know, just instantly likable. And Swan Song, Swan Song's a really interesting track because it almost has a sort of an electronic dance feel to it. And one of my first thoughts when I heard that song was, you know, I can imagine the Pet Shop Boys recording this song. I know that probably sounds a bit ridiculous, but you know, I can really hear Neil Tennant's voice singing that song. It really sounds like their style, and it would really suit them. It's a great song. Side one ends with a song called Blind Love, which is a sort of it's almost a sort of an old-fashioned, perhaps 50s, early 60s ballad. And that's a beautiful song, and there's a number of songs of that sort of nature on the album. I mean, Blind Love, Santa Rosa as well. Santa Rosa is a lovely, lovely song, the penultimate song on the album. There's one cover on here called Time, which is really lovely, and what was originally going to be the title track on the album, Blue Light, is insanely catchy. You know, it's a song that just sticks in your head the first time you hear it. I absolutely love this album, and I would say it's probably my equal favourite Lindsey Buckingham album already to Gift of Screws, but for completely different reasons. Because Gift of Screws is quite an inventive sort of album. It's quite out there, whereas this album is much more conventional by comparison. Probably the closest the album comes to Lindsey's more inventive side that we've been familiar with on previous solo albums is a song called Power Down, which is a bit kind of quirkier than some of the other songs on the album. But even that one is just instantly memorable. It's got elements that just stick in your head. It ends with a song called Dancing, which is slightly atypical of the rest of the album, because it's very slow, very quiet, and very minimalistic, and it's kind of melancholy. Actually, it's a different sort of note on which to end the album. I can't quite grasp what the song is about, but there is a certain melancholy about it, which is kind of mysterious, and I like that. One of the things that's really impressed me on this album is the quality of Lindsey's vocal harmonies. Now, considering that Lindsey recorded and produced this album on his own, these vocal harmonies that feature on quite a lot of the songs really are very, very impressive, and none more so than on The Wrong Side. The vocal harmonies that come in for the chorus on that song really open up the arrangement, and they just sound fantastic. You know, he is such a gifted engineer, and on that song they just sound so good. And another one, another impressive example is Blind Love, but of course Blind Love is a different kind of song, but the vocal harmonies work just as effectively on that one. Another one is Blue Lights, yet more fantastic vocal harmonies. Power Down as well. Santa Rosa, you know, it's one of the things that I think defines the overall sound of this album, is just the sheer quality of Lindsey's vocal harmonies and the inventiveness of those vocal harmonies. And of course, as ever, I mean, it almost goes without saying, his guitar playing is always impressive, and once again, none more so than on The Wrong Side. There's a guitar solo on the end of that song that is actually reminiscent of Countdown on Out of the Cradle, and of course the guitar solo on the end of that song was you know, exhilarating, and it's almost on that level on The Wrong Side. So yes, mightily impressive. the album really demonstrates how good a songwriter Lindsey still is. You know, he is writing songs that are as effective as any he has written at any point in his career. And these songs, I mean, had they been Fleetwood Mac songs, who knows? They may well have been huge hits. As it is, because Lindsey is not, as a solo artist, he's not as, shall we say, in demand as Fleetwood Mac. Unfortunately, not so many people will hear these songs, which is a shame, really. Because this is an album that is worthy of attention. I really do think it's terrific. My only complaint about it, is the packaging. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, you've basically got a front cover, a back cover. The inner sleeve of the vinyl is just black and white. So you've got the lyrics on one side and the track listing and credits on the other. The CD is even simpler, because it's, again, you've just got the lyrics on the inside cover, but there's not even a booklet. There's no booklet, and you've just got the CD. I mean, the most important thing is the music. That comes first, but I think the album deserved a slightly better kind of packaging treatment than this. But that's just me nitpicking. It is a wonderful album. It is very much worthy of your attention, and my recommendation is go out and buy this album immediately.